every time a new day is to come, a new era is to be born, God raises builders. This is the reason why you cannot think about yourself only as a survival. You must think about yourself as a resistant army. And you cannot be a resistant army if you don't have the equipment by which you can actually go head to head against your enemy. The enemy that we are fighting, which is Satan and the prince of the power of the air and the darkness of this world, he is not attacking us only through demonic possession. He's attacking us through the systems that he has built. It almost feels like the church is consistently playing catch up with hell, consistently playing catch up with the kingdom of darkness. We are Googling, researching, sending ourselves reels and saying, look at aliens. They're talking about aliens now. They're talking about this now. They're talking about, putting chips in people's brains. They're talking about that. We keep talking about the things that they have planned for 30 years. We keep talking about the things that they are permitting us to see and peep into after they have completed their plans. Where are the prophets that can see 50 years ahead, 30 years ahead, but they do not only see, but they can build the tabernacles by which God can come and occupy and take his space in the different systems of the world? Where are the prophets in business? Where are the prophets in government that do not only speak about the kind of nations that are coming or speak about the kind of economies that will rise, but they also have the technical capacity as downloaded by the power of the Holy Spirit into their minds, into their hands, and they can build? Where are the prophets like Nehemiah, who can tell that God is about to do something great, but they can shift from being cupbearers into wall builders? Where are these people? These are the kind of people that will hold the line. These are the kind of people that will set the mark for the new day. So I need you to shift your mind and to understand that the coming revival is not just a church revival, but a builder's revival. Because for an age to end and a new day to be born, it is marked by the advent of builders. It is builders that cross over into the new day. It is builders that cross over into the new season. It is builders that cross over into the new time. Everybody that God used as a bridge and as a crossover was a builder. Lot did not even enter into Sodom and Gomorrah without building. The Bible says that Lot was sitting at the gate. He became an elder in Sodom and Gomorrah. So you need to understand that even though the land was destroyed, but Lot built in the land. And I just want to say something real quickly. There is a sense in which many Christians have been deceived into thinking, oh, because we're going to be raptured and we're going to be taken away, God doesn't want us to build anything in this world. Yes, he said, unless you hate the things of this world, you cannot really be with him, for him, or associate with him. But guess what? I explained to you people hate yesterday, and I said that hate is not, oh, I'm not going to talk to you, I'm not going to associate with you. No, hate is that you do not commit sacred things into the hand of a person that has not displayed the capacity to understand what is sacred, steward what is sacred, and multiply what is sacred. That is what it means to hate. Esau have hated, Jacob I have loved. What did he do? He did not commit the sacred covenant of Abraham into the hands of Esau. That is how he shows you that I hate this. Do you understand what I'm talking about? So when you think about it, but did he not bless Esau? He did. Did Esau not have cattle and houses and wives and children? Esau did. So did God not build Esau? He did. Did God accept Ishmael as the chosen covenant child? No. But did God not build Ishmael? God did. Because you see, all of the lineages of these people will be taken down as part of God's big plan of the display of the excellence, the sovereignty, and the government of Zion. So sometimes God will build a system that he's going to take down. God will raise a king to depose him. God will establish a nation to use it as an example of his might in war. So just because you are called to be in Babylon, but yet as a prophet, Daniel, that this is not the end of it, but it doesn't mean that you should not build Babylon. As long as you are in Babylon, if you truly have prophetic eyes, you will not start weeping 10 years in being Babylon. You're not still going to be crying and saying, oh, I just want to go back to Israel. I just want to go back to Israel. No, you that have the prophetic eyes, This captivity is going to be for 70 years. So what do? You stop crying. You begin to think about, how do I build, buy in that land, marry in that land, have children, establish businesses, invest in stock, because you're not going anywhere for 70 years. You're going to give birth to another generation that gives birth to another generation, maybe even to a third generation. So you just establish yourself and look for systems. But do you know that Babylon, you're going to be removed from Babylon someday? Yes. Do you know that God is going to destroy Babylon someday? Absolutely. But what do you do in the meantime? You build your plans, because you understand that sometimes some things are a foreshadow of what is to come. Some things are the future concealed in the present, but it doesn't mean that you don't build the present. It may not be the future, it may not be the promise, it may not be the fulfillment of the prophecy, but it is the now. And if the cycle of the now is not complete, the future will not manifest. So sometimes our problem as Christians is our prophetic lens and our knowledge of the future becomes our abhorrent of the present. Our knowledge of the future becomes our limitation to build the present. And that's not supposed to be the case. God knows tomorrow, God knows the future, but it doesn't stop him from making covenant with men in the present, because God also respects time, and time is an accumulation of linear decisions so that you eventually arrive at the fruit of eternity. But as long as you are here and now, you must build here and now. Did Joseph not know that Egypt was going to be destroyed? He did. That's why he told them, when you are leaving, take my bones with you. He knew that this is not the lasting place. This is not the finish line. This is not where it all ends. We will go. But did Joseph not build for Pharaoh? He did. Because you see, there is a time where you need to build for Pharaoh. And sometimes God will send his best men, his most consecrated men, to go and build for his worst enemies. He's going to hide Moses in Egypt for 40 years. He's going to use the grace, the skills of Moses to better and to advance the kingdom of Egypt. He's going to hide Joseph in Egypt. And he's going to tell Joseph, go and help Pharaoh build the storehouses of provision, knowing fully well that he's still going to destroy Egypt. But Egypt must be lifted and must be raised, for Egypt to be brought down and to become an everlasting example. Babylon must be lifted and be raised, for Babylon to be brought down and become an everlasting example. So some of you are there saying, oh, why is she working for that king? Why is he working for that government? Why is she working with that president? You don't get it. Sometimes God will send his people in because he knows that this place has to be built. And eventually he's going to strike. It's not the case for every nation, but it happens. And then sometimes you may not be called to be the one that builds the future. You may be called to be the one that lays the foundation of the present so that the future can manifest. So you know that the future is the children of God are going to be brought out of Babylon. You know that the future is there will be a returning. But like Daniel, you know you are never going to return. Because of the things you had to do in Babylon, you will not be able to go back with them. Because you've become a eunuch, you cannot make the transition into the land of God anymore. But you will play your role and you will play your part. Because if you don't, the future will not be born. Like Moses, God will give you a picture and say, that's the promised land, but you are not entering in. But till the day you take your last breath, you will lead the people. You will teach them the law. You will teach them the process of God, knowing fully well that you will not enter. This is not the end, but you will give your everything to what you know is not the real deal. Because the shadow is what necessitates that the image manifest. If you despise the days of the shadow, we are never going to see the image come to pass. I say this to you because we know that the true thing is where we are going to. This earth, this now, this timeline is not the eternal kingdom of God. It is not the expectation. It is not the reward for which we were called into Christ. But this earth is a shadow that is going to, and what we do here is what's going to force the manifestation of what is to come in the age to come. If you despise the now, we will not enter the future. So there are so many Christians that are like, this world is not my own. I am just passing through. And because you are just passing through, you have not built any structure. You have not planted anything. You have not cultivated. You have not stretched yourself. You have not used your intelligence and your intellect. Nothing, no arc to your name. Because you think you are just passing through. And it doesn't matter. What matters is what is to come. But what is to come is determined by what you do now. It is not until the Spirit says come. It is until the Spirit and the bride say come. And the bride. So what the bride does determines the coming of the master. Why am I saying this? Don't say, oh, the pharmaceutical industry invent the right drugs. Oh, the government are so corrupt. Get in there and hold the line. Oh, they're teaching our children sex education. So you know what? What are you going to do? Go into the place where you can rewrite policies. Get into the place where you start writing the right books in education. But you can't say, because this is just a shadow we are passing through. This is not the real deal. We'll do nothing. Have you not heard what Jesus said? He gave them talents and he said, do business until I come. He came back and some brought to him, you gave me 5, I've multiplied it to 10. Then he said to them, the other one came, oh, you gave me 10, I've multiplied it to 20. What did he say? The one that he gave 5 and it became 10. What was Jesus' response to him? He says, now come and take authority over 10 cities. I always say to people that what promotes you to territorial authority is the stewardship of talent. He gave them talents, gifts, money. When you read it properly, it was money. And he told them, transact with it. Anything, any Christianity that tells you that we are not called to transaction is a false gospel. Transact with it. Learn how to know your value, build your value till your value is marketable and people will pay premium for it. Now, when you do that, he says do it, but not just for the sake of increasing wealth, but for the sake of influence and occupying. Do business so that you can get space and have dominion. Till they must call you to the table if they are going to make a decision about Africa. Get to that point. Now, he said do it. Now, when you steward talents and gift, what is the consequent effect of it? Territorial authority. He then says, now come and take authority over territories. Now, saying that, actually, territorial authority, I just don't want to forget certain things. When you think about territorial authority, you often feel like, why did he move them from gift to territory? It is because if you are faithful with little, you'll be faithful with much. What he gives you as a gift and as a seed is what you are supposed to steward on a personal level and to grow it into becoming a garden that feeds people. When you do that consistently, you are engaging with more people. You are engaging with new principles. You are growing. And so God begins to see that, this one, now he cannot give you authority over more. But I just want to say something to you about transacting. You remember, and I shared this with you recently because I read it in Francis Miles's new book. He touched on it when he says, by the way, all of you go get that book. It's called Blood Money. It's on Amazon. Go get it. Blood Money. You have to read it. Just go and read it if you want to understand money and wealth. Go and read it, Blood Money. Now, in the book, he was speaking about the coin, and they came to Jesus. They're like, Jesus, should we pay taxes? What did Jesus say to them? He said, look at the coin. Whose image is on the coin? They said, Caesar. He says, so give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and give unto God what is God. What was he doing? Differentiating two different economies. He was saying that the one who has the right to put his image on a thing is the one who rules that economy. So you must give him the respect that he deserves. So his image is on the coin. So the coin is for Caesar's economy. Are you with me? And as long as you are inside Caesar's economy, you need the coin to transact on the level of Caesar's laws. There's no question about it. So you can't say I'm a believer and You go into a store. How are you going to pay for this? I'm going to pay with tongues. You pick a shoe that is worth $500 and you get to the till. They're like, ma'am, can we get your card? The police will come and carry you. How are you going to pay for it? I will give you a Bible. No. As far as you are operating within Caesar's economy and Caesar's ecosystem, you need to have Caesar's resources by which you can buy and sell. So whose image is on the value system of this world? Mammon, gold, silver, coin. So you need to have it so that you can engage and so that you can have the right to keep engaging here. Now, for spirits to transact on the earth, what do spirits need? They need men. Why? Because men are the gatekeepers of the earth. I've taught this several times. A man was made from the dust of the earth, his body. And it was the Spirit of God put on the inside of him. That means our bodies can harbor spirits. And our bodies can carry spirits. That's why we are the ones that can trade between the earth and the heavens. But we are God's currency. Whose image is on you? We were made in the image and the likeness of God. If Caesar's image gives him the right to trade on the earth, God's image gives us the right to be the currency that trades in the heavens. This is the reason why a spirit cannot trade in the heavens without man. It needs a body to be able to trade between the earth and the heavens. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it is about the image that determines the right for engagement. So as long as you are here on earth, the coin belongs to Caesar. You need the coin. You need the coin. You need the coin. Please understand what I'm saying. There are some industries that have Caesar's image on it. There are some places that have Caesar's image on it. Joseph understood this clearly. The normal Hebrew person carries beards, and it's part of the reason why the Egyptians hated the Hebrews. Okay? They thought they were dirty. They thought they were nasty, like they carry beards. If you notice, the Egyptians had clean shave. It was just something about them. They felt like, you have to shave. It has to be clean. It has to be this, And here are these shepherds that go about tending sheep and they have their bed, But the Bible says that when Joseph was going to go before Pharaoh, he got up, he shaved, he cleaned. I'm sure when he stood in front of Pharaoh, Pharaoh saw the image of Egypt, but the likeness of Elohim. Sometimes you need to change your clothing so that you can enter into the rooms of the people who control the economy of the realm within which you find yourself. God was coming to save humanity. He needed to trade with the image of humanity. Even though he was God, he humbled himself to the point of coming in the body of a man because he knew he could not engage with the earth in the spiritual form, in the body of a spirit. For him to deal with the economy of man, he had to come in the body of man. Part of the reasons why some of you are intercessors, you are Bible scholars, but you have no influence and no impact on the earth is because you don't have the image of the world. The image of the world is banker, lawyer, doctor, economist, stockbroker, teacher, farmer, agriculturist, scientist. You have no image of the world. That's why you cannot engage with the world. And so as Christians, please, you can't be foolish. Even if what you are doing is preaching the gospel as a minister, you cannot preach the gospel outside of the boundaries of the government of the land. It's the truth. You have to adhere. So at the end of the day, the structuring of even your ministry is meeting the image of the time and the land. So there are certain things that you can't fight as long as you are within the territory that rules. That's why you have to get Daniels into the palaces of the king. The reason why God does that is not because God is weak. It's because he's a God of justice. He's a God of judgment. He's a God of righteousness. If he starts to violate governmental system, he cannot be the God of governance anymore. So because he is a king. He respects the offices of kings. Now, he sends a Daniel there, not because he cannot wake up and slap this Babylon, destroy it completely. No, he can't work like that. So he must send an inside man into Babylon that begins to influence the policies, that begins to influence the things. He sends an Esther, sends a Mordecai, because he knows that if unrighteous policies are raised, it will not favor his people. That's why there were different kinds of apostles. There were the apostles who, raised the sick, healed the dead only. But there were men like Paul. Why did he have to go and drag a Paul, a Pharisee of the Pharisee, a Jew amongst all the Jews, that understood how to appeal? And so he knew how to say, okay, I want to appeal to Caesar. I want to appeal to the highest one. Take me to this person. Take me. He understood the law. He knew how to use the law. He knew how to converse and to argue on the level of the law and government and governance. Why did he go and get a Paul? Why did he not leave it with the fisherman? Why did he not leave it with the doctor? He chose people that were of different occupations. God, look at how Jesus picked. He picked from all the different 7 mountains. So that by the time they communicated the gospel, it was a complete gospel that had the capacity to equip every man and every person in every industry. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because why? The ecclesia is a governing body. The ecclesia is a governing body. The ecclesia is not a singing house. It's not a chanting club. It's a governing body. Okay? So Jesus had to raise people. He had to raise a governing body that could influence all things. And we've talked about the apostle and the ecclesia, and how they go into nations in those days. We've taught that several times. And it is important that we all get back to this place where we understand that, listen, we are called to build. I need you to write that down. I am called to build. Until the flood came, what did Noah do? He built. There's a mind of a builder. I've told you, go take my course, Academy of the Builders. It's on my institute, Isi Benedicta Institute.com, Academy of the Builders. There are 2 parts. Just watch it all. There is the mind of the builder, how you think. There is the heart of the builder, how you engage. There is the hand of the builder, the purity of engagement. Do you understand? There is the walk of the builder. All kinds of things. You must remember that you are called to build. So let us stop waiting for Jesus to come back. We're just waiting here. I will wait upon the Lord. And then I'll beg somebody for quick 2K just so I can eat lunch tomorrow. But while I wait upon the Lord, I beg you, while you are doing all of that, policies are being passed. Things are being said in closed doors that will affect your life and influence the destiny of your children. So we need to get in there. Okay? And you see, sometimes you may be called to build something that will be destroyed. But you build it all the same. Because if you don't build it, there'll be nothing to be destroyed. Egypt will be destroyed. But Joseph will give it his all, knowing fully well what the end of Egypt is going to be. Sometimes that's what God tells us to do. Because in the destruction of Egypt, there's a bigger prophetic model that God is showing the world. Do you understand what I'm saying? So this world will end, but we are the ones that will end it by how we build that will accelerate the coming of our King.